What's up, guys? Ben here, bringing you another video today. Major 3 Week 2 qualifiers begin on Friday. Let's dive in on predictions. As always, that's our Wednesday video. We've got a lot of really cool matchups, so I'm going to go ahead and give you my picks on who is going to win the 3 match days we have on offer. Here are your Week 2 matchups. As always, you got 3 matches on Friday, 4 on Saturday, and 3 on Sunday. Also of note, by the way, I'm going to be in Atlanta this week. So for these Atlanta phase matches on Friday and Saturday, I think I'm going to have some cool pre and post match coverage for you guys, but we'll reveal more on that when you tune into our streams when we arrive in Atlanta tomorrow. Anyway, let's dive in with Atlanta phase versus London. And man, like as much as I would love to say that this one is going to be competitive and blah, 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 London just still don't look particularly good. FaZe went 1-1 last week, but that loss is to LA Thieves. And in a situation where I think they lost once again both hard points to the Thieves team that seem to have their number in the game mode. But I'm looking for FaZe, I think, over the next few weeks because they have an easier schedule. Just getting better at hard point in match days. You know, we've talked with Slasher on the flank, and he says that their hard point record, which is 17-19 right now, doesn't really indicate how well they play in practice. That's okay because they're 23-8 in search. So, you know, it's balancing out when you're shooting 3 out of 4 in S&D. So looking to see with this matchup against London that FaZe get this 3-0 because I think they are the way better team. But we go to a matchup next that I think is going to be a little bit closer. And this is OPTIC versus Toronto, and honestly a pretty interesting one. OPTIC with their new roster played LAG last week and went to a game 5. I'll be honest, I think LAG probably could have won that one in 4 if they didn't really troll the end of the fortress. And then they got wiped in the Asilo at the end, which kind of speaks towards, I think, this OPTIC team's ability to grind out series. Whereas on the Toronto side, they were on a little bit of a struggle. Got smoked by Boston at the beginning of the week, made a roster change with Stanley moving to the bench and Hixie coming in, and then they took care of business against Vegas, handily winning both hard points. They lost the search round 11 in a game 5 control. So it was a little bit of a closer series, but a cleaner win. The one that OPTIC had, although I feel like in general, OPTIC probably should be the favorite team in this matchup. They played twice so far this year. They played once at that major back in Major 1, and I think Toronto absolutely just like wiped the floor with them at that event. And then OPTIC then played them online about a month-ish ago, I think, and they kind of did the same to Toronto online. So obviously that's with a different team. That's with Stanley. So it's kind of hard to feel momentum on this and kind of what each team's really going to do. I also think that there's like overlapping map pool, which makes this matchup hard. I think both teams love to play Hotel Hardpoint. Both teams are fine playing Hydro, may want to play Mercado. And then on the S&Ds, I think they also overlap a bit as well. So for me, I think this one's going to come down to a game 5. And Toronto hasn't actually gone to many game 5s. Statistically, they've only actually played 3 this year. OPTIC's played a bunch more. I do think that when it comes to moments like this and sort of the experience on OPTIC, I think they're going to get it done. They're 7-1 in game 5s this year. So I'm going to pick a close one. I think this will be probably one of the most fun series of the weekend. A lot for both teams to work on, and I'm excited to watch it. And maybe one that isn't that exciting is Boston versus LAG. LAG's on a massive slide right now. Their hard point is basically crumbled. There's not a lot of momentum right now with this LAG team that's positive to take away from. It's almost like that loss to FaZe and the double loss to Toronto at the qualifier and then the major kind of broke this team a little bit. I know they did get that win against Vegas, but they lost to Boston, and then they obviously had a tough one against OPTIC. So they only played 1 match last week, so no kind of like danger zone and not make it to bracket. And they actually have a pretty easy schedule after this Boston match. They play London, Florida, and Vegas. So I could see LAG making winners regardless of all of this. I just think this Boston team is sort of on cruise control. They're always very comfortable online. I think that people probably have it pretty split. Yeah, to Boston 60-30. I'm going to spot LAG 1 map, but I just can't really not pick Boston in this one based on form and just how good Boston is historically in matchups like this online. They usually do take care of opposition like this that are a little bit weaker than them, although I will say that I believe LAG has beaten Boston earlier this season, but it was online during the Major 1 qualifier. So, all right, let's move on up to Toronto versus New York. So this is the first matchup on Saturday. Normally our Saturday first matches can be a little bit iffy. But this one's a heater, man. I think for this one, New York seems to have solved a lot of their S&D issues, and they look good in respawn. And I think there's still stuff for this Toronto team to work on. I might, I'm going to put this as a 3-1. I might put this as a 3-0, honestly. It's really going to come dependent on map set. I think New York's just going to outclass Toronto right now. They're just going to be a lot faster. I think New York's set up to make a really deep run at this major. We'll see what the map set is if I want to take or add a map away here from Toronto, but I just feel comfortable picking New York right now based on how good they looked week 1. All right, so we haven't picked any upsets yet, but this might be the series we do it. LA Thieves versus Seattle Surge. And the reason that I actually am going to go with Seattle in this one, they just recently won S&D against Rocker on Hotel, which happens to be a really good map for Thieves. Second is the Seattle team is pretty good at respawn online. LA Thieves is very iffy from matchup to matchup. So continuing the trend of LA Thieves not being particularly good at times online, I'm going to say a 3-1 Seattle. We'll give LA Thieves probably the controller something. I can see it's going to 5, maybe 2, but I need to pick one upset on this list. There's not that many to pick from this week. And this is the one I'm going to run with because I like Seattle's chances in this matchup. All right, we got Florida versus Boston, and no offense to the Florida boys, I think I'm going to have to take Boston 3-0 in this one. I've heard that Florida is still being a bit iffy in scrims. This team comp might not really be it based on the rest of the talent in the league. So Boston, I think, in cruise control in this one. Maybe they drop a map. I really can't predict that right now. I'm going to say 3-0 considering Florida hasn't won a match yet with this team in an online league match. 0-6 so far in maps. And then we got another one that I think will be a blowout. Atlanta FaZe versus Vegas. The interesting actually one with this matchup is that Donnie Temp does play from the Atlanta FaZe facility, at least for this stage. So there's a little bit of funny banter in person. I'm going to try and maybe for the matchup, see if we get Don on our setup in Atlanta with maybe someone from the team, do a little bit of trash talk beforehand. I just think for both teams, FaZe the better squad. I'm going to give Vegas one map. FaZe is sort of 50-50 control, and I think Vegas, to get hotel control, might take that one against FaZe, but I think FaZe get it done. I tip Vegas's run so far. I just think this is just a matchup where they're going to get outskilled, and I think people's predictions probably agree. All right, let's hop on over to Sunday. We've got LAG versus London, and this is a tricky one to pick. I think most people have LAG in this matchup, and I don't really know what to think about this one. Again, based on LAG's form and kind of how iffy they are right now, they could actually lose this one to London. These teams have played once so far this season. It was in the beginning of the year when London went on that run the first week or two of the year, and London beat them in a game 5 and kind of nuzzled them 2-3-5. So I don't really know. I'm going to say LAG last map versus London, but I might flip-flop on this one by the time we get to Sunday. I think this is much closer. I mean, most people have it 81-20, 80-20. I don't know. I think it's actually a lot more even than how the prediction is doing it right now. All right, keeping it moving and grooving. We got OPTIC Texas versus the Minnesota Rocker. So Rocker, this is kind of a must win for them. They had a really, really slow start to the major cycle. Really tough weekend, especially Afro did not play well. And the problem for OPTIC in this matchup is this year, Rockers kind of had their number, weirdly enough. They played at the Major 2, and Rocker beat them. And then Rocker also played them in the beginning of the season and beat them online. So for OPTIC, I think they struggled to kind of counter Rocker's playstyle, which is a little bit more ratty, a little bit more corner-based. They even in Search are just going to play that way as well. And if Bant has won the series and Afro's frying, I think OPTIC sometimes lack of discipline problems might really hurt them in this series. So I'm going to actually stick my neck out on this one. I'm going to say the OPTIC lose a game 4. We're going to get a little bit crazy with this one and say the Rocker's going to take this one to map 4. Predictions right now, 78-21. Again, I just think if you look at current form and these teams have played in the past, I think this matchup is a lot closer than people may realize. But then finally, we finish out 6 p.m. on Sunday with the matchup. I don't think it's going to be close either. Seattle versus Florida. And I think Seattle might start this major 3-0 based on the schedule. If they beat Thieves, they're going to be flying. Absolute full confidence. I'll give Florida one map. Eventually, they got to win one. We'll give it to them in this series, but I think 0-4 start for Florida. Seattle 3-0, and that will round out your week 2 predictions. So I think we're going to pick 2 upsets. We got the Rocker one and the Seattle one. I think OPTIC Toronto could also go either way, but I think OPTIC's a little bit more icier than Toronto right now, so I don't really feel comfortable with that. And there's not really other upsets I think that I'm super keen on outside of that. It's a lot of chalk this week, and a couple of kind of 50-50s, like, or 60-40s, which is this one, as well as OPTIC, Toronto, I think, are all close ones. Seattle Thieves can be really close too. It really just depends on what kind of Thieves and Seattle team we get in that matchup. All right, guys, let me know in the comments what you think of the video. If you like my predictions, if you have other ideas, let me know. Just as a reminder, I'm recording this video on Wednesday. Starting on Thursday, I will be in Atlanta. We're going to be doing 4 to 5 days of streams. Getting my head shaved on Sunday as well during those streams. So this is one of the last videos you're going to see with this head of hair. I think whatever videos I record on Monday, probably gonna have no hair on my head, which will be very interesting. So make sure you tune into my stream Sunday morning for that. Like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more, and we'll see you guys on the next one.